Mr. Shakya, and hello to everyone. I sincerely thank CTO for giving me opportunity to showcase digital ID project of Government of India that is called Aadhaar. I'm showing shortly a digital and financial landscape of our country. At present, we have 1.36 billion people. Out of that, 1.26 billion people have there are live Aadhaar. So we have issued 1.32 billion Aadhaar, but taking death into consideration, 1.26 billion are live Aadhaar. And there are 1.26 billion mobile users, out of which 765 million carry a smartphone. There are 792 million internet users, and there are 1.4 billion bank account. Out of 1.4 billion bank accounts, 770 million bank accounts are ready to receive payment based on Aadhaar through Aadhaar payment bridge. They are linked with Aadhaar. 770 million Aadhaar are linked with bank account to receive direct benefit directly to their bank account only based on Aadhaar. Government of India every year subsidy burden is of 50 billion US dollar. It is 2.5% of GDP. Yes, a huge subsidy. Government of India being a welfare state as per Article 38 of Constitution of India. This I am showing how the journey started. Before Aadhaar, there was no people were not having identity which can be used across the country, and because of a lack of identity, they were deprived of benefits. Mainly to provide benefits and welfare services, subsidy, etc., to large population of country. This idea came. This idea sprouted in the year 2006-07, and we came up with this unique identification project. So there was no identity which can be used across the country. There was no nationally acceptable identity. Most people use local identity like ration card, driving license, which were state specific. And lack of identification was leading to exclusion. They were being deprived of benefit which central government or state government were providing. And there was, we were also facing problem of duplicate and cost in welfare schemes. People were assuming multiple identities. That way, there was a lot of pilferage. The government of India was unnecessarily being burdened subsidy under subsidy head. And with Aadhaar, makes provision of a robust lifetime reusable national verifiable ID identification. It is a unique, resulting in no duplicates, no fakes. It helps in targeted delivery of services, benefits, and subsidies, reduce cost of delivery of services, and countrywide portability. Aadhaar being it is countrywide portable. It can be used anywhere across the country. It has become a universal with anywhere access. This is the journey of Aadhaar, how it started. In 2005-08, there was an empowered group of ministers which was constituted to deliberate on creation of a unique identity. Then what happened in 2009 with the executive order, unique identification of authority of India was formed. First Aadhaar was issued in 2010, and DBT, direct benefit transfer scheme, was launched in 2012. With the first scheme, it was one of the first scheme was cooking gas LPG scheme. It was called a PAHL at that time. The subsidy money of the subsidy money was directly going to the account of the subscriber of the cooking gas. Then in 2016, we got support, legislative support. Statute came into picture in 2007. Aadhaar Act came into picture. Then 2018, we being a democratic country, a lot of people approached several courts. Finally, Supreme Court heard our case, and Supreme Court gave a judgment with some provisions of Act were written down. Based on that, we went with the amendment in 2019, sorry. There was a Aadhaar and other laws amendment act was passed. In 2012, 21 and 22, overall 93% are having Aadhaar, and 314 central sector schemes are notified under Section 7. Section 7 of Aadhaar Act is a provision through which Aadhaar has been somehow made mandatory to receive government benefit, subsidy, or services for which money comes from Consolidated Fund of India. This is another slide highlighting the regulatory framework. In 2016, Aadhaar Act came into picture, and other regulations were formed, like transaction of business at meetings of Aadhaar regulation. Some the subordinate legislation were passed in 2016. In 2018, Supreme Court gave its judgment, and 2019 we came up with the amendments. And in 2020, we made some other provisions in our act to facilitate more adoption of Aadhaar. The one good governance and other administrative regulation came into picture, through which adoption of Aadhaar for other users, non-government users, that too we made possible because of that. And in 2021, we reduced our transaction charges and eKYC charges, electronic know your customer charges, that to make more adoption of Aadhaar more and more. This is our ecosystem, briefly. So entirely at the servicing the end user, there are Aadhaar Seva Kendra, logistics service provider which deliver the Aadhaar card, etc. And to use our authentication platform, there are Aadhaar user agencies, know your customer agencies. There is a Aadhaar service agency which acts as like an aggregator. The traffic from Aadhaar user agency comes to ASA, then comes to our data center, that is called CIDR, Center for Identity Data Repository. There is a SMS service provider, contact center. We have a very good grievance addressal mechanism, and we have a BPO for quality check, etc. This, and we have a GRCP. There is a one organization, KPMG, one of the top 4 consulting company, which acts as a governance, risk compliance and performance monitoring agency for us. Yes, now I am again repeating the key features of Aadhaar. It's a truly portable identity. It is anytime, anywhere online authentication is possible. The unique feature of Aadhaar is that it can be authenticated anytime, anywhere. It is uniqueness is ensured. It is a lifetime identity. Once Aadhaar is allotted, it's never gets changed. Inclusive, it's all residents is eligible to get Aadhaar. As per Aadhaar Act, whoever has lived in India for more than 180 days in a particular year is eligible to get Aadhaar. It's purely a random number. There is no provision of profiling. Based on the various digits of Aadhaar, 12 digits of Aadhaar, you can't make out from which state the person belongs to. That we have taken care of. And for use, there is we have given importance for user consent. Without consent, Aadhaar platform can't be used. And to address privacy concerns of resident, we use minimal resident data, that we collect only name, address, gender, and date of birth, and mobile number, email, that is optional. And security and privacy of resident data is ensured. This is broadly how the Aadhaar is generated. We capture some biometric 10 fingerprint, iris, photograph, and demographic fields are these only: name, gender, date of birth, and address. Optional fields are mobile and email. And then it goes to our CIDR for 1:n match to ensure uniqueness. After uniqueness is established, Aadhaar is generated. This is the trend of Aadhaar, how we generated Aadhaar in 2010-11. It was only 4.2 million. It peaked in the year 2013 and 14. It went to 290.83 million. Now, because almost we have reached the saturation level, it is coming down. And at that time, the update, because now we provide update facility also, address update, biometric update. So updates are increasing nowadays. This is the countrywide saturation. You can say most of the states are having more than 90% saturation. There are few states where the saturation level is not that good. And overall, I previously told there are saturations in 93.36%, but adults are having 99.89 adult percentage of adults are having Aadhaar. In a way, almost every adult is having Aadhaar at present. The problem is because Aadhaar, we provide Aadhaar even to newly born, even children 0 to 5 years old. In this age group, 0 to 5 years, the saturation is low. Because every year to almost 20 million children are added to our country. Another feature of Aadhaar is because it is online authentication capability. We provide online authentication capability. So there are multiple modes of authentication. There are demographic and there are biometric. You can authenticate through fingerprint. You can authenticate through iris. And there is a provision of OTP, one-time password. So these are various modalities through which authentication can take place. So authentication, we provide two type of service. There is a one yes or no service, which is just to confirm that the Aadhaar number belongs to the person which is giving his details like biometric or OTP. Or there is one other service we provide that is called electronic KYC. That based on consent, KYC data is shared electronically to the service provider based on the consent of resident. That is a very important services which is being adopted by so many fintech companies and telcos. It's another slide. It's a verifiable ID for. It's not bound to physical boundaries. Authentication eliminates physical presence and it gives only yes/no answer if required. Eliminates for electronic KYC. It eliminates paper-based KYC requirement, and it is done only with consent and authentication. So there is no possibility of fake documents. It is available anytime, anywhere. This is I'm giving a picture of how our description of our authentication ecosystem. Authentication system, we have at present 169 authentication user agencies, and we have 160 know your customer user agencies, and we have 22 Aadhaar service agency, authentication service agencies. This how the authentication have taken place in the past. There's the slide graph showing how the yes no transaction and how the eKYC trend of eKYC transaction, authentication transaction. At present, about 60 million transaction takes place every day. Recently, we reduced the authentication prices to promote adoption of Aadhaar. And for government agencies, it is free authentication services. For private commercial entities like telecom companies, financial institutions, there are very minimal charges. 3 rupees only, Indian rupees for eKYC and 20 paisa for just no authentication. And from the very beginning, we have taken care of data security and privacy. It is inbuilt in Aadhaar. Aadhaar numbering system. Like Aadhaar number is a random number with no built-in intelligence or profiling information. Optimal in ignorance. The objective is to provide identity-related function, issuance and authentication, and nothing else. We are not capturing any profiling data like a health record, income detail, etc. Aadhaar has no linkage with information such as PAN number, driving license. We are not having link with the PAN number. May be having Aadhaar, but we are not having the PAN number with us. Aadhaar authentication respond only with yes or no, or for Aadhaar eKYC service allows a region to authorize UID to share electronic version of their Aadhaar letter. UID mandates that service provider using Aadhaar for establishing identity should explicitly share the purpose. For that, before taking their consent, the purpose has to be explicitly explained to the resident before providing any service. Service provider collecting Aadhaar cannot share identity information further with any entity without explicit consent from the Aadhaar holder. That we are taking care of, and these provisions are supported by our Act and subordinate legislation. And now I will tell you how the JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan account, the account provided to those who were not elsewhere, they were not having bank account, Aadhaar and mobile. How this JAM Trinity is revolutionizing the financial inclusion in our country, and it is leading to digital economy. Direct benefit transfer through Aadhaar payment bridge launched in 2013. Aadhaar enabled payment system launched in 2016 for last mile banking. Aadhaar led DBT and banking incentivized by state. JAM, Jan Dhan bank account, Aadhaar and mobile identity combined with the power of DBT brought marginalized section of the society into formal financial systems. This brief. You will again in detail you will see the presentations from there is a presentation from NPCI, but briefly I am telling you about Aadhaar payment bridge. It is very beneficial to government to citizen and business to consumer payments. The payment can be made to a person's bank account via his/her Aadhaar number, provided it is linked to Aadhaar number. Government of India transfer benefit and subsidy directly to the beneficiary bank account through APB. More than 79 billion US dollar has been paid through Aadhaar payment bridge so far. And during COVID-19 pandemic, there have been 100% increase DBT payment through Aadhaar payment bridge. How this platform has helped to address grievances of common people during COVID-19 pandemic. How this is a slide briefly telling you how the government of India has saved money which was getting pilfered, the subsidy money which was getting pilfered. So far, we have been able to save about 29.7 billion US dollar. This saving has come because of the removal of duplicates and ghost identities because of Aadhaar. For last mile delivery of banking services, there is another product which too is owned by NPCI. I'm thankful to NPCI. They will give you details in their presentation. Aadhaar enabled payment system. This enables, you can say, doorstep banking facility. Especially it has been very helpful during pandemic, and it's very helpful to a rural population for which for them reaching to a brick and mortar formal banking facility is very difficult because they have to invest a lot of money. This AEPS service provides doorstep banking. It's very useful for poor people, especially those who are living in the rural areas or inaccessible areas. These are some enabling provisions of our Aadhaar Act. One section 7 is especially addresses the benefits, subsidy, and which Government of India or state government deliver through their consolidated or Fund of India. Section 44 B1 is for Ministry of Finance for voluntary use of Aadhaar number under the PMLA. PMLA is Act of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. And regulated entities, there are IRDA, SEBI, RBI, there are various regulatory body dealing with financial sectors. There is another provision of 44B2 in our act, which has recently been notified, which is an act for good governance, which too is an enabling provision for more adoption of Aadhaar. Already 79 proposals of central and state government have been approved for voluntary use of Aadhaar. And there is another provision, section 47. This provision is for those Government of India's department who can use, who have made use of Aadhaar mandatory through their act, through their statute. These are some linkage of Aadhaar with various